Hi, everyone. Welcome to our 30-minute lunchtime boost. We hope these are a bright spot in your day today and always. You can go to our YouTube channel and watch all of the episodes. We are now on number 11, I believe. I'm your host, Jen Maceda. I'm the CEO of She's Local, the organization that brings you accessible, relevant, and relatable content, local conferences, and now digital live engagement opportunities like these. We're all about local women, and we connect them, we inspire them, and we want to move them along whatever path they choose. On today's boost, we are talking with Jennifer Kauffman. I'm so excited. Jennifer is a transformational speaker and teacher and award-winning coach, helping clients achieve breakthrough results in their businesses and their lives. She's also a best-selling author and co-producer of the first ever sold-out one-man live show on Broadway called Dream Big. And she's an executive producer of the Emmy and Telly award-winning documentary called A New Leash on Life, the Canine for Warriors story, which portrays three amazing veterans who nearly took their lives due to PTSD. And she's no stranger to PTSD. PTSD is something she knows all about as a survivor of the 2013 Boston Marathon bombings, where she rose up after losing everything to now living a life she loves. Jennifer is passionate about serving people, including children, showing them how to rise above adversity and challenges in life so they too can create a life they love, a life that goes from surviving to thriving. I love that. Thanks for being with us, Jennifer.
Thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure being here.
So we talked a bit yesterday and we talked about fear. Tell us how fear has impacted your life, how you've lived with it, and how you've overcome it.
Yeah, for me, most of my life, I lived with fear. Most people wouldn't know it. I had a lot of success early on in my young adult years, rising up in the corporate world. But the truth is, I had trauma as a child, and something I never fully overcame until my experience with the bombings. I had done a lot of deep work on myself. So I know what fear is. It can be really debilitating, and certainly, in the times that we find ourselves in today, I'm sure everybody is experiencing fear on some level, whether it's fear of the virus itself or fear of how are they going to rise up, in the jobs and the careers and the businesses that they have. And so, one of the things that I do on a regular basis to deal with fear, and by the way, just so everyone knows, I rarely experience fear now. So what I'm about to share with you, and you can learn more by getting my book, Shattered, what I'm about to share with you really works. It's like, once you take these skills and apply them to your life every day, it really makes a difference. So key is being grateful. Like, find something to be grateful for. So even in the midst of the pandemic, there are things that we can be grateful for. I'm especially grateful for the fact that I can connect with family and friends and loved ones virtually, right? If this happened many years ago, that wouldn't have been possible. So take the time to actually, look for and acknowledge what you're grateful for, and do it daily. And the other thing I would say is, as I know, life can change in an instant. Things happen in life that we don't plan for, that we don't have training for. And so what do you do? What do you do in that time? And one of the things I'll say is live in the present moment. Do your best to live in the moment now. Fear oftentimes happens because we're worried about some future thing happening that may or may not happen. And so when we can continue to keep ourselves in present moment now and look for what to be grateful for, things shift, your energy level shifts, and that's key. I'll also say that because life is so precious, I've learned that, the hard way, but because it's so precious, like, love every moment of your life. And if you don't love every moment of your life, or you don't love what you're doing, it's a really great time now to reevaluate. I feel like the COVID virus, none of us want it. and it's here, right? Just like I didn't want to experience a terrorist attack, and I did. And so what do? Right? To me, this is an opportunity. It's like a blank slate. And since you get to create the life that you want, create something that you love, create something that you're passionate about, and go out and do that.
You brought up a really great point yesterday when we were talking about fear and these key strategies that you've implemented in your life where you now no longer feel fear. We've talked about gratitude on a couple of the booths that we've had, but your point is a little bit different. We had one speaker that said, in the morning time, write down, or in the evening time, write down 3 things that you feel really grateful for. And we've heard a lot from our audience that that's been really helpful. But what you said yesterday was pivot yourself immediately when you begin to feel the fear or you feel the anxiety. Immediately track in your mind 3 things, 1 thing, 10 things, whatever it is. It's that immediate pivot while you are in the moment throughout the entire day.
Yes. So, and you might have to do it numerous times a day, right? Depending upon where you are in your fear level. So, over time, I do it in the morning, and I do it at night. But if fear were to come up, I pause myself. So I want to also be really clear here. Fear is not a bad thing. So it's portrayed as a bad thing. I've now learned it's not a bad thing. Fear is an actual viable emotion that we all experience. The key is this: we need to distinguish in the moment. Am I in immediate danger? If the answer is yes, then you need to act on that right away. If you pause and you reflect on the fear is actually, well, I'm fearful that my business may, I may lose my business 3 months from now. Well, in this moment, that's not a reality. And so what can you be grateful for in this moment? What good can you find in this moment? And then I'd ask, what's something you could do now to pivot to prevent yourself from, fulfilling that. Nobody wants to lose their business. Nobody wants to lose their job. So the question is, how do you go from where we are now to a thriving state? Get really clear about what you want, live in a state of gratitude, live in a state of love, and then take action, take risks, take action in pursuit of what you want.
You mentioned love. Tell us about resolving things now and the state of love, as well as listening to the vibrations. You mentioned that yesterday. Tell us that vibrating state and why is that important?
I'll share a quick story with you. So when I was 30 years old, or just before turning 30, 9/11 happened. I was supposed to be on a plane that day. And as fate would have it, my plans were changed. So thank God that did in fact happen, that my plans were changed. But here's what happened. My dad and I were estranged for nearly 10 years. I was turning 30, he was turning 50. Something inside of me said I needed to reconcile with him. So I started that process, but I didn't finish it. Let's be clear about that. And 2.5 months later, my dad died suddenly in a tragic boating accident. And so what did that teach me, right? Listen, we have disagreements in life. Things happen. The quicker we can resolve them and the quicker that we can let it go, forgive one another for the upset and the hurt that might have happened, the better off we are. I can't tell you, that took me years to recover from that. The guilt that I felt, the shame that I felt, and I wouldn't want anyone to experience that. So, here again, look for, if there's something that you're upset with someone, let it go. Let it go. Life is too short. Life is too short to hold on to resentment and to grudges. And it frankly just doesn't serve you at all.
And now is the best time to do it.
Absolutely. Now is the time to do it, because we're not guaranteed the next moment. We've had experiences happen in our lives. We don't know what the next moment's going to be. But we get to do the best we can to create a positive outcome. It starts with us. It's not the external forces. You know, I started my business 13 years ago, and I started it in 2007, just on the heels of a major recession in our country. And, you know, I didn't know that then. And yet here I am. I invested a lot of money, started my business. I'm working with clients. And what do people hear? Oh, people are going to lose their businesses. People are going to, you know, all this doom and gloom. And what I did with my clients was focus on how can you serve your clients in this time? How can you continue to add value? How can you continue to remain focused, laser focused on your vision? Not one client that I worked with experienced, not only did they not lose their business, they all grew on some level, some a marginal amount, but some grew pretty exponentially. Why? Because they chose to focus on what they could control and how they could serve other people. They weren't bought into the narrative of the mainstream media that was at the time was doom and gloom. And it's kind of similar now. So the question is, like, how do we, you know, I love the work that you're doing, Jen, right? It's just so powerful at this time, especially because like-minded people come together to help each other, to inspire each other, empower each other, and connect with each other. I'm telling you, if I can live through and thrive and find a way to go from surviving to thriving through all that I've been through, I promise you, if I can do it, anyone can do it. Anyone. And so I encourage people to, you know, connect with people that are uplifting and inspiring and who are your cheerleader. And even though we're going through a tough time, we go, that's it. We can do this. We can do this together. We can rise above it, and we can rise above it stronger and better.
Thank you for that. I completely agree. One of the things that we talked about yesterday was taking those risks, because right now is the time to experiment. It's the time to move ahead. We're not going back to work. We're going forward to work. Tell us about taking risks and how we can do that in a mindful way that will help us to rise above.
Yeah. So, you know, one of the key things to do is give yourself some quiet time, some space just to reflect on what is it that you want? What do you want for your life as we, you know, move through the coronavirus? And ask yourself, what action can I take now? Right? So just start to take little baby steps and action steps towards what you want. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. You will stumble and fall in this process as you're embarking on something new. You know, it just doesn't happen that easily. So you will stumble and fall. That's okay. Just get up, take the next action. If you need some encouragement, you need some support, connect to this fabulous group of women here who are here to really encourage each other through this time.
So we are at the point where we can ask some questions. I actually see that they're, oh, thank you. Somebody likes our background Zoom. That's awesome. So I'd love to open it up to questions. What are you dealing with right now? How can Jennifer help you to rethink either strategy or personal motivation right now and help you to rise above and move forward in where you are? I would ask that you go down to your reactions, give us a thumbs up, give us a clappy hands, and we will come directly to you. I'll unmute you, and you can ask that live to Jennifer Kauffman. Silence. We just need one, and then it'll just...
I promise I don't bite.
Over. Where's the tipping point here? Come on. Coach D, I know you have something to say. Come on. Shannon, Kathy, Jane. I'm going to call on you guys and come right. Mary Brown. Thank you, Mary. I'm coming right to you. Hi, Mary.
So, hi. It's the first time I've been at one of these booths. So,
welcome.
Yeah, thank you. So I agree with exactly, Jennifer, what you were talking about, you know, and I'm a mindfulness instructor. So I agree with all those things about the gratitude practice, trying to live in the present moment, you know, trying to love what you do. I know I'm in another full-time job now, and I'm trying to transition to a full-time mindfulness and meditation business. But I would say, like, one thing I struggle with is just having the patience, and also, you know, I've been told, just let things unfold, like just let them unfold as they are. And patience is not one of my strong suits. So I have to constantly remind myself, like, let things go, take your time, pace yourself. So, you know, how have you, you know, have you had examples of where that's happened to you, and how's it best to really kind of adapt that kind of mantra in your head?
So I'll say with you, Mary, patience is something that I still deal with on a daily basis. You know, as somebody who has been a go-getter and who has been, you know, I've been, for most of my life, I've been a person who makes things happen, right? And I've learned that actually post bombings, I don't make anything happen now. I actually go with the flow. So, you know, and how do you do that, right? Be really clear. So you're a mindfulness coach in meditation, right? Perfect. Get really clear on your intention, which I know it is, right? And trust that things will start to unfold. And I will tell you, you know, I had to pivot my business in February, or I made a choice to pivot my business before COVID actually happened. And then I had to pivot again. And so there have been some moments where I'm going to be honest with you. It's like, oh man, like, you know, like it's kind of like crickets, like there's nothing out there, right? And then it's like, am I doing something wrong? No. And it's like, no, continue to get in alignment with what you want to create. And I will tell you, when you least expect it, all of a sudden things open up. Just in the past week, I've had literally, you know, I went from the silence and the crickets for a little bit to a flood of opportunities that have shown up just in the last week, right? So be in a state of flow, right? There's nothing to force, there's nothing to push, there's nothing to make happen. Literally, it's just to continue allowing things to unfold.
Yeah, thank you. And just one comment, I wanted to just mention something you said. I used to be a fixer. That's what I like to do. So my daughters had a lot of health issues. So I was always in this fix mode. And I excel at that. Like, give me something to fix. And so that's actually been something too that I've had to learn as well, is not to be in this fix mode all the time. But yeah, the flow state, exactly. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Mary, that was great. Something else that you've taught me over the year that I've known you, a year and a bit. Jennifer, you say, even though we need to go with the flow, and we need to do that right now, when you are looking towards what you want to accomplish, start with the end in mind. Go out there 1 year, 5 years, and then realize what that looks like. Create the picture of what that looks like, and then backtrack all the steps that it will take to get you to that point.
So can I do a quick exercise? Because I think this will illustrate exactly the point. And I did this in a virtual retreat that I did a week ago. So close your eyes for a minute. And I want you to imagine that all of you are standing around this big, huge table. And I'm at one end and you're all looking at me. And in front of me are these 3 big, juicy lemons. And now I'm cutting the lemon and creating a wedge for each of you. And I'm handing you that wedge of lemon. Imagine I'm handing that to you right now in your hand, and you start to bring it to your mouth. Notice what you taste. Notice what you feel. It's funny watching this because I get to see all your faces because I'm the only one with my eyes open. Did everyone experience that? Okay. So here's the thing. That is the beauty of our imagination and our mind. So when we're clear about what we want and we imagine as if it's already happened, we create the vibrational alignment to attract to us. Does it happen overnight? In my experience, no. Especially if you have a really big vision, okay? Smaller stuff could happen really quick, right? It really depends on your alignment. But that's the beauty of taking the time every day. Give yourself permission to daydream and focus on your vision. or going on vacation or whatever brings you joy. And it literally can do, we just did that exercise in under a couple of minutes.
All right, so we have a question in the chat, and then Shannon, I'll come right to you. I'm typing my question here. Internet is acting up. Yes, I feel you. From being paranoid about this virus to slowly easing into getting into the normal, how does one lift oneself during those low days? I've been alternating between good days and low days. Also don't know if this is also related with the afternoon slump, but this affects my work so much. Great question.
Yeah, you know, I would ask, what is the one thing that really helps you? So when I'm feeling in a funk, here are a couple of things that I go to on a regular basis. One is I personally love to take a salt bath. So if there's time in my day and I'm feeling off, I will go and I will shut my phone off. I'll shut off all of the stuff and I'll go take an hour-long hot tub, right? I may meditate. I may just be inside. So do something that's loving for yourself. Go for a little walk outside, you know, reach out to a friend that you know will be, you know, able to, you know, encourage you and help you move forward. So just take a little step. You know, I think all of us have felt some, you know, there are days where it's just kind of like sluggish, right? You know, there's just so much, you know, coming at us from, you know, social media, from the news media. And it's like, of course it's going to make you feel off kilter. So give yourself permission just to take a time out. And I would also say that if you're feeling down and you happen to be somebody that watches the news or spend a lot of time in social media, I'd encourage you to put a pause on that for a little bit and either listen to your favorite music, you know, cook your favorite meal, anything simple that will help you, you know, just make a slight shift.
Yeah. Shannon, I'm coming to you, lady.
Oh, I did it. Sorry, I don't, for some reason I think I was fighting against your mute. I would love to know, Jennifer, a little bit about the process of writing your book. Did you find that putting things down, writing them down, putting them into words, putting your words out for everyone to read them, did that kind of help you move through? I think it's such an interesting thing to have gone through something so difficult and then to be able to write about it. I just would love to know a little bit about how that came about.
Sure. Thank you for asking the question. So writing the book was a marathon in of itself. So it was cathartic, it was healing, and it was confronting, right? So, you know, pieces of writing the book were easier than others. So for me, I hid my past traumas. Very few people knew about them. And so this book, I felt called to write about those earlier experiences. Why? Because I've seen the effects of trauma in my own family and in my own life. And I really wanted to showcase that if we do not deal with the traumas that we experience in life as early on as we can, that literally has a ripple effect and will continue to carry on. So there were points of my writing that I actually had to put it aside for months at a time, because it was too, because it, you know, for me, it felt like I was coming out, and I needed to be mindful and cautious in my own journey and not force that. So there were times where I had to put the book aside for months at a time and then pick it back up. So writing Shattered took me 1.5 years.
Is that a normal time frame? Yeah, thank you for that question, Shannon.
Is it a normal time frame? I see programs now where you can write a book in 3 to 6 months, right? Wow. So I think it depends upon the type of book that you're writing and how, you know, and how much healing there is for you to do in the process or not, right? You know, if you're writing a book about something that you love and there's really not a healing component to it, it'll happen much quicker. Here, I'll give you a couple of tips. For those of you that are interested in writing a book, the easiest way, and trust me, I've spent a lot of time doing a lot of courses. I've figured out what's worked, what's not worked. Think of it like this, right? You do not need to have the title of your book in the beginning. You just need to have what I call the key ingredients. So what's the context or the essence of your message? What do you want the book to convey, right? Write that down. And then what are some, and just start to brainstorm, what are some pieces that you want to include in the book? And then, categorize them into chapters. It's kind of like a puzzle piece, right? Like so let's just say, like, I'm actually working on my next book, Rising Up. It has 3 components to it. There's a mind, body, spirit component. My idea is the book is to create an integration between all 3 so people can more quickly go from surviving to thriving in their life, no matter where they are. So in the mind piece, I've got a whole litany of things I want to cover in there. I want to talk about the biology of belief. I want to talk about meditation and how that plays a role. So I've got some sub-bullets there. So just think about categories, right? And then when you feel inspired and called to write on a particular item, just write about it and put it aside. So this is not a linear experience. It's not, hey, I'm going to write chapter 1 today, and then I'm going to go to chapter 2. That's not been my experience. My experience has been when I feel called and inspired to write, I write. That could end up being the last chapter of the book when I get done, and it may not. So just give yourself permission just to go with the flow.
And those techniques can be used for.
Don't edit it either. So a lot of people think like, okay, I'm gonna type it up and I'm gonna edit as I go. It actually alters the flow of the message. So give yourself permission just to write grammatically incorrect, spelling errors, whatever. You can go back later and clean that up. But there's something inspiring that happens when you just let yourself go.
And I was going to say, Jennifer, those techniques can be used for just about anything that you're doing, not just writing a book. Bring yourself towards that passion or towards that sense of joy, and just let yourself go, and then organize it as a time in your day to focus on whatever that passion is.
Absolutely.
Okay, we've got time for one more question, and then we are going to talk about our Friday booze. I think somebody put something in the chat. Let me just read that real fast. That was a thank you. You're welcome. All right. Any other questions? Yeah, I'm coming to you. So thumbs up. Here we go, Coach. Wait. Okay, there you go.
So yeah, I'm good. Thank you so much. And thank you, Jennifer, for sharing. Something I'm hearing a lot lately from my clients, but just people in general, is as we transition back as the pace of life starts to pick up again, there's so many yummy things that we've been able to experience during this kind of pause and slower time that we really want to keep with us, but we're not sure how it's going to fit into post-COVID life. So if there are some things that we've been able to do, whether it's hobbies or more time with family or just reading a book or writing a book, how can we create the time or the habit or the focus to keep those things with us in our life and our schedule, even when we go back to normal and things pick up?
One of the key things is give them equal credit to the work that you do, right? So schedule them. So right now we've got a lot of time, right? Pretty soon we're going to get back into busy mode again on some level. The key thing is, if it's important to you now and you want to carry that forth, carve out that time, schedule it in your calendar. What I find is, if I don't block it out, I'm apt to overcommit to things, and then I get back into and I just set myself up, right? Listen, I'm not perfect either, but I have to, for myself and to be in a thriving state, I need to be able to have those items that are outside of my work built into my day. So walking is important to me, exercise is important. So, and it can be wherever. It doesn't have to be one set time. Like it could be a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm going to do this at lunchtime, and just make the commitment to yourself. And if you're not sure you're gonna hold yourself accountable, tell someone about it who can and say, hey, how you doing with that?
That's
Thank
great.
you. Yeah, thank you.
That was great. Thanks, Darius, for that.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I love the fierce by choice. Like, just
I
love
know.
it.
She is.
Love it.
She was on our boost last week. All right, everybody, that is the end of today's boost. Please come back and join us on Friday, where we will be speaking with comedian Kelly McFarland, who is a phenomenal comedian that goes all over the world, and she's going to be with us, as well as Miles Productions, two of the funniest women I know for sure. So we're just going to laugh. I'm just going to laugh. Join us on Friday. We're going to be here every Wednesday and Friday in June as well. That schedule is coming out soon. Thank you, Jennifer Kauffman, for being with us today.
Thank you.
As always, we really appreciate you joining us and spending your Wednesdays and Fridays for 30 minutes with us. If you have any other topics that you're interested in, we'll start planning for the end of the year as well, because it looks like we're going to be in this for a while. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks again, Jennifer Kauffman. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye. Be well.